Hey,
I'm
what are
glad
you
we're able
drinking?
to drinking. Okay, we have two beverages today because I need two beverages. So the first is coffee in my Black Jaguar mug because
Oh,
vibes. And then I've shown you this before, right? I have this Ember mug. This is not an advertisement. They don't know who I are and they know who I am and they don't care. Um, but
oh,
it heats your drink to whatever temperature you prefer.
that'd be
So it's
nice.
attached to an app on your phone. This makes me feel
Shut
very
the front
powerful.
door.
Yeah, so it's a whole app thing. And so I can set my perfect temperature. This is apple cider, this one here, because that's been my craving this holiday season. But my preferred temperature is 125 degrees. And I put
Oh,
it in there cold and without any attachments, it's heating my apple cider to exactly 125 degrees.
you can see on the app like the
Yeah,
temperature.
yeah, on the thing. It's gone from 54, it's now on 68.
Very
This is
nice.
modern day wizardry, I think.
Right? As soon as you see the steam coming up, you'll be like, how freaking
It's ready.
cauldrony. Cauldrony, yeah.
Yes,
Got some witch
exactly.
magic over there. I'm just doing coffee.
Excellent. Oh, let me see. I like the designs on that mug. That's nice.
Yeah, the downside is it's like a metallic, so it says don't put in the microwave.
Oh, you put it in the microwave, haven't you?
Oh, I'm sure I have.
Yeah. Ain't no one got time for that. No. What do they say? If it can't survive the dishwasher and the microwave, it's not meant for me or something like that.
Exactly. That needs like I think that's like a norm. Whenever
Yes.
you buy something, it's like, can it go in the dishwasher? Can it go in the microwave? For reals.
Yes.
But so what do you put in your coffee?
I nothing. I mean, yes, there is stuff in it, obviously, because there's coffee in it. Um, I am obsessed with this. I think it's Italian espresso powder that you can get. I made it once in cupcakes and then realized it could make a really good drink. So I've been drinking it for years and years and years. And it's just an espresso powder that I buy at the store
Hot
that I think
water?
hot water, milk. That's it. What about you? Are you a sugar creamer gal?
I am a coffee mate peppermint mocha girl.
Oh, nice. Seasonal. Very nice. Very nice.
Oh yes, but they do it year round, which is
Do
very
they?
nice for me because yeah,
It's
Christmas
like
all
that
year
year.
round.
A year I found a place that did pumpkin spice lattes all year, and I felt so rebellious because I was like, "Don't tell me I can only drink it in the fall. I'm gonna drink it whenever I want. Springtime, yes, please. Fourth of July, you bet." I'm such a rebel.
Show up with a spiced pumpkin latte
Yeah.
and people will
Yeah.
attack you like, where do I get it?
Yes. Yes. So that made me very happy for exactly 12 months, and then it went away, and I was very sad again.
What? These
More joys, you know?
these are the kind of experiences we retain and then eventually somehow incorporate into our stories.
100% they end up in a book. In fact, I even have a mug that says, I'm a writer, so anything you say or do will end up in my stories. It's kind of like that. For fun.
Oh my goodness. So we didn't do it last time, but maybe this time we should just introduce ourselves.
Sure. How about you go first, and that way I'll copy whatever you do.
Okay. I usually do that. I usually be like, no, you can go.
Yeah, no. I like the creativity until I'm fully beveraged this morning.
Well,
All right.
I am Kimberly
Hi,
Grymes,
Kimberly.
and I am a YA fantasy author. I've been writing for um, a long time, and but I never published until 2021. So mainly focused YA fantasy. This year, I'm doing a new pen name, K Grymes, Kay Grymes, and I will be writing more adult themes, more adult fantasy and romance stories, which I'm actually kind of liking. So I don't know if I'll hopefully go back to some YA fantasy, but for now, it's just I really like the adult themes and writing more adult stories. So that's exciting. And then I'm here with my friend CJ.
Yeah. I'm CJ Dainton. I write mostly historical fiction, but it usually has a speculative element to it. So most recently, Australian history, colonial history with ghosts, most recently. But I've written a few other bits and pieces too that have been short stories that have been published around the place. So um, started there, book coming out early next year. She's a biggin. She's a husky lass. But in the vein of like historical fiction where it's a rollicking good time, you know, read it over a vacation or something like that. But yes, I've also written some romance that hasn't gone anywhere just because I sit on things forever. Um, but some of that's speculative too, but in the future. So like it's either in the past or in the future. That's all I write. Very little contemporary at the moment, but
I don't think I knew that.
yeah, yeah. It's like I've written a few things that are contemporary, but it's either historical or set in the future, like near future kind of speculation type stuff.
That romance series that you're working on, is that like futuristic?
Nor
Or
is
is
it
that contemporary?
contemporary, but I just
Okay.
haven't like it's still it's baby. It's baby.
No, no, right, right, right.
Yeah, yeah. And it's weird when you are used to writing past and future, it's weird stepping into contemporary, I think. At least for me it was. Um, I don't know. I don't know, it felt kind of like almost like I was pegged in a little bit, which is weird. But anyway, you switched genres too, but you added so you moved from YA to adult. How is that switch? Because that's got to be
At first it was difficult. Like I thought I was doing okay, but then uh my friend CJ beta read for me and
yeah, yeah, I did. But it was good. It was very exciting to see like stepping out of what you
yeah, but
typically
what
do.
you had said
Yeah.
mirrored what my book coach had said, that the story did still sound YA. So it took me a few tries, but now that because I'm working on three stories, yeah, one, two, three stories that are all adult theme, like all under the new pen name. Um, I've picked it up. I know what to do now. So
The most recent bit you sent me was definitely you had found that other voice.
that's right. I forgot I sent that to you.
And I forgot I was supposed to send it back. Um, but yeah, the
You
tone,
can tell.
the yeah, and just even sentence structure wise, you can definitely tell it's a different shape of writing and voice. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I had talked more with some authors that I'm doing that collab with, and I was like, look, I don't want to be the person who's disappointing the reader because I sound so YA. So I really hashed it out with them just to be like, give me some key tips on what I should be focusing on. And basically, it was just make her adult. She's an adult. She's going to talk like an adult. She's going to have emotional responses as an adult. Um, so I needed to make sure that her life at some point is an adult life, like she's already gone through. So in my Dustslinger series, she's an adult. She's a widow, meaning she's already been married. So
Mm.
she's had a lot of adult experiences, which helps. So that helps me getting that backstory set. then I know I can take it from there. I think because a lot of the times I would just write, and it's just my writing style. I just am my brain. I write how I talk, and I talk like a teenager.
Yeah.
Like,
I didn't agree with that last bit. I was agreeing with the bit before. I don't think you write like it, but I do think when you've been in a genre for all of
yeah.
what was it, 5 books? You are probably you have a comfort zone too, if that's what
Mhm.
you've been writing for so long.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's interesting. And to be fair, the it's not like YA you're like pandering. It's not like you're trying to break it down and make it simple for younger readers or anything like that. Because a lot of
No,
YA
no.
readers,
You do have to have hold their attention.
right,
So the pacing needs to be much faster.
true. But it's not like you're not like speaking down because a lot of young adult books are still like they're at an adult reading level,
Mhm.
a lot of them, especially now. But um the yeah, you're right. The way young adults think is shaped differently and sounds different. So yeah, those distinctions become
Yeah.
critical.
I think that the transition from YA to adult, it took me a hot minute, but I think I've gotten it. The hard thing for me is the tenses.
Oh,
I am still struggling with swapping between tenses because supposedly more adult romantasy or more adult stories are told in um, past tense.
okay.
You think? I think that's what it is. I prefer, oh, wait, no, it's third person. No, it's first person past tense. No, it's not. Oh, geez. See, I get so confused. I have post-it notes literally telling me which story I'm writing in.
That just makes sense. You're very organized.
every
Um,
every story is different.
Even your three in the new genre, the tenses are different.
Well, yeah. So the author collab, we agreed it would be first person past tense.
Okay.
And then in my Dustslinger, my Western romantic fantasy, I prefer writing present tense. So it's first person present tense.
Right.
So I have to go back and forth between past tense in one story and present tense in the other story,
Got it.
but they're both first person. I don't
Right.
think I'll ever write third person again.
Interesting.
Yeah. My first two series I did, my YA first two series were third person. And then I wrote a novella in first person and something changed in my brain. And I was like, this is so much easier for me.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because when a lot of the books I read growing up were definitely third person, and it was either head hopping or there was like an omniscient narrator, right?
Yes.
So a lot of the books I remember writing growing up. So that's sort of like the literary legacy of where I was coming from when I stepped into writing. And it's funny because when I went back to Australia and visited my family earlier this year, um, my mom handed me like a whole stack of stuff and was like, "Here, go through this and take it away out of my house." And I had no idea it was still there, but it was a lot of my writing from when I was a teenager, and I hadn't seen it or touched it in let's not say how many years. But I going back through some of that stuff, I realized how much of my very early writing was essentially fan fiction. Like I was just copying what I had read.
Mhm.
And in looking at that and reading through some of it, um, a lot of that was in third person because it was mimicking exactly what I was reading at the time.
Yeah.
So that I thought that was really interesting. Um,
What's your book coming up in?
First person.
It isn't first
Yeah.
person.
I love first person. I found I love reading it. I love writing it. Like I've some of my short stories were third person too, but I love first person. There's something even if it's first person past tense, there's still something really intimate, I think, about being in a character's mind and
Hmm. Yeah.
being in their mind, being in their feels essentially, and sort of exploring a world or a landscape or a time from that really close. It's like well, it's like having like being a friend. It's like being in their pocket, you know, like being in their shirt pocket, and you get to kind of go around and explore. It's like almost like a video game, you know, where you can kind of jump into a character and then you explore the world as that character. And I think there's something really lovely about that perspective.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know if I'll ever go back either, to be honest with you. It's just a pleasure to write, I think, for me at least.
I think I've always wanted to. Like, even that first series, I wrote third person. I had an overwhelming amount of internal thought, like in italics.
Yeah.
Like, she was constantly sharing her internal thoughts. And I think at the end of that series, I was like, I think I was meant to write this in first person.
That's so
But who wants to
interesting.
write, two
Yeah.
full novels?
No. No, no rewrites. Um,
So you
oh,
brought all of the old school writing home with you, right?
yeah, I mean, some of it I threw away. No one needs to see that. So I brought I brought a little bit of that home with me. And I think it was good to like go back and see like writing's been a part of my life forever. Um, and I even entered stuff when I was a kid, like competitions and things like that. And the earliest time I can remember winning something for and it was small. It was local, like nothing fantastic. But I think I was 5 when I first like submitted some writing.
The front door.
Yeah, and I probably like 5 or 6 maybe, but that age range. And I remember my prize was I got to go to the local library and pick a book to take home, and I thought that was like the most amazing thing. I still remember that feeling.
That is. I
Yeah.
mean, to get kids excited.
Yeah, of course. I picked a book about bees and I still have that book on my shelf. So
You got to
it
keep it.
got to keep it forever and ever. It's come with me everywhere I move because
Oh my
it
gosh.
symbolizes something really special now. Um,
It's your
but it
first
was,
trophy.
yeah, my book about bees. Um, yeah, I think it's good to have a few pieces with me. I'm pleased I brought some back. Some of it I did throw away. Um, but it's fascinating to go back and see how your writing has changed for sure.
I was never a writer.
No, never. But were you a reader?
No,
Theater kid?
no.
Really?
I I think I had a couple in-school suspensions because I'd never go to English class.
Really? So you're a rebel from the start. That's what you're
I'm
trying to tell
sorry,
me.
Mrs. Nurkis. I love you now. I appreciate you now.
She'll look at your face and be like, that girl, she's the one.
Oh, the day she caught me in the cafeteria. But no,
Wait. You were skipping class to go get snacks?
oh yeah, we'd hang out in the
Oh, that's
cafeteria.
cheap. I love that. Not like going and smoking in the in the back quadrangle or
Mm,
anything.
no,
You
just to
went to
go
go
get a
get
bagel.
snacks.
Carbs are my drug.
I love that for you.
Um, but no, like I struggled. I have like a comprehension dyslexia. So
Hmm.
like if I'm not super focused on reading, I'll forget what I read at the beginning of the sentence. So it was really hard for me. And even now, like I don't understand grammar rules.
Hmm.
I like I use the cheat sheet on Mad Libs whenever I play Mad Libs. I mean, it never stuck with me. Like it's a foreign language to me. So that's why I write how I speak. And then I rely heavily on my editors because, and I've learned a lot as an adult it's easier for me as an adult to learn a lot of the grammar rules. Like my editor's amazing, and she shares articles and she explains things to me, like why certain things can't be redundant, or you have to write them in certain order. And so, I mean, but as a kid, I was more of a visual person. I binged movies, TV shows. I absorbed every kind of visual as I could, except comic books. Like I was never into comic. I probably would have been, but I wasn't around them, like my friends or my parents or my brother. Like they weren't really into comic books. So, um, but I loved watching like the X-Men, cartoon after school and
Yeah,
all that kind of stuff, Spider-Man. And um, but no, I think I did enjoy reading though. Like I did enjoy it. It was just hard for me.
sure.
And it wasn't until I am a Twilight girl.
Okay.
It really wasn't until Twilight came about and I was like, well, maybe I'll try reading again. And I was hooked. But because I still struggle with reading, I discovered audiobooks.
Yeah.
And I have never binged anything so fast. I went through so many series just listening to
Yeah.
so many books. And that's when I was like, I can do this. I can write. I have so many stories in my head. I was like, I don't have to let something hold me back because it's an obstacle.
Yeah, totally.
So I started that in my early 30s. And it took a long time for me. Like I was writing head hopping. I mean, I think I wrote like a 200,000 page book. My first book was like 200,000 pages. It was so bad. It was head hopping. It was so confusing. There was like 30 characters in it.
So
It
you didn't
was
start
so
small.
elaborate and
Yeah.
crazy. And I had a woman help me, and she was like, you need to learn how to write a book. She was like,
Yeah, as does every author, right?
yeah. So
Yeah.
I literally took probably 4 or 5 years just to become a book reviewer, connect with authors, study the structure, and then just in the meantime, work on my story. Um, it's a long process for me. Like it wasn't easy. And even now, it's like I'm a slow ass writer. I'm a slow writer.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
And there's nothing wrong with
I
that.
always get so envious whenever I hear people saying that they read as a kid and they wrote stories and they were involved. And I'm just like, I wish I had been. I try to get my kids to be because, it's such a form of meditation, almost like therapeutic,
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. Um,
So,
yeah, it's so interesting, isn't it? We all come at this from totally different places. And I think the thing I love about hearing other people talk about how they came to specifically writing is there's no one way to be. Like it's not like
mm-mm.
you have to have a type of childhood to be a type of teenager to be a type of adult and a type of right whatever however you may envision that going. Like all of us have obstacles that are part of the process that we're challenged by. Even like
Yeah.
because we're opposite in so much as like the drafting's the easy part for me. That's not that's not the thing I struggle with. So the words aren't the issue. It's more the systems and then the finishing element of the editing because yeah, it's a whole thing. But we all have our strengths and we all have our challenges, sure. And
Mhm.
I think it's interesting too. I think your story illustrates the disconnect between um what I think some people may perceive as like the imagination and then the sort of outpouring of it because you can have the creativity, you can have the imagination. And we've not always been a culture or society that uses written word. I mean, verbal
Yeah.
storytelling goes back forever, right? So I was listening to somebody recently talk about that. I can't remember who it was, but the idea that like who was the first person who sat down and said these are the rules of writing? They're still copying or absorbing or pulling from whatever the cultural context was of storytelling, whether it be um, the oral traditions or plays or whatever was the culturally relevant portion of that time, So I think it's great that people can have that creativity and have the imagination and the stories and then figure out, okay, well, how does this come out? And for you, it sounds like that needed to be unblocked by this monolithic multi-character.
Gosh.
It needed that unblock.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Well,
someone kind saying, learn how to write a book.
I was gonna say, and to connect, I know that's what we talked about in
Mm,
the last chat
sure.
is the best way for me was connecting with other people and learning that way because what we do can't really be taught in a class. Like, yes, we go to school, we learn English, we learn grammar, but as indie authors, there is no major, there's no minor, there's no class certification.
No.
It's all through word of mouth and watching how other authors do it and taking what they do and incorporating into what you're comfortable doing,
Hmm.
because not everybody does stuff that you might be comfortable with or you might want to do. So you find your own path, and that might take years, like this is not a sprint, you know.
Yeah. As I tell my kids all the time, the learning's in the doing.
Oh, for sure. It's especially with this occupation. It's different for authors who are going the trad route because they're just kind of veering onto a highway that's already been built, already has timelines and people teams, and you're just kind of flowing in. And they say, well, good, you need to write this book by this date. Whereas indies, we wear all the hats.
Mm.
We are not on a highway. We are on a back road that goes in all different kinds of directions, and who knows where we'll end up
With no headlights.
with no headlights.
We're doing it in the dark. We're just,
Yes, if you're an indie author with headlights, you've made it, girl,
yeah, I
boy,
want to know.
people.
Where do
Yeah,
I stop and get my headlights turned on? Yeah.
where do we get our headlights?
Yeah, you're right. Um, and I think that the learning part's interesting because even if you know how to write, like say we say, a grammatically correct sentence or a one that's good for comprehension, or there's so much more that goes into the structure of writing a book. And that was the bit that I wanted to challenge myself to when I switched from short stories to writing a novel is the whole shape of something that goes from 1,500 words to 150,000 words is very different. And so for me, my big investment was in the how to structure a novel. So I did a lot of study and a lot of practice in the actual like structure of things beyond the 3 act plot. Like that is pretty widely taught in most schools, but it's not the only way to plot. So
No,
that was interesting to me to find out all the other ways you can plot. That was
it's
great.
a
But
it's a good base. It's definitely a good base for when
it's
you're,
a base, yes. Yeah.
yeah.
It's like it's a basic base. So, um, yeah, I think it was finding out all these other ways that you can think about story structure. Because for a long time, I was like, I was familiar with the hero's journey, and I was like, why doesn't my book feel like it fits the hero's journey well? Because the shape of it, I could map the shape of it, and it was not a very good circle at all. And of course, realizing that that's not the only way to do it.
Yeah,
But it's hard. You got to kind of like stumble around in the dark for a long time. Again, without the headlights, right? You got
had no
to
headlights.
no headlights. You got to figure out the shape of things kind of by feel and by trying and sometimes failing, I think is the other part.
Oh, definitely. I think it's interesting how you started with short stories and then migrated to larger novels. Whereas I think my big book with all the 5 million characters, it's when I started writing short stories that I learned how to only put the essentials into a story because you're limited with word count,
Yeah.
especially if you're submitting it to anthologies or whatnot. They say 10,000 max. So when I tried to write a story and it came out to be 16,000, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to cut 6,000 words. And that really taught me, like, only put the essential in there. If it's not essential, then cut it.
Yeah.
So that really helped me writing the short stories. So with you, it was more about stretching it and
Yeah.
filling in those story structure, um, the the obstacles and the conflicts and the
Yeah.
journey.
Yeah. And I think you're absolutely right. Short stories, especially, I, I think I started with a lot of the 1,500 word ones because 1,500 words is tidy. It's essentially 3 pages of like written, printed paper, thereabouts. Um,
1,500 is short.
yeah. So it's basically, if you think about it like 3 pages, it's basically the first act, second act, third act, one per page. So it's pretty straightforward in terms of just coming at it from a visual point of view. Um, I did try a couple that were 1,200. 1,200 is an interesting
I
number
don't think I could.
because it's tough. It's a tougher one for me to do a 1,200. I've done it, but it's not, there's something about the 400 per act versus the 500 per act that changes things a little bit. And yeah, 1,500 is my sweet spot. And that's interesting because my chapters in the novel, my shortest is right about that sort of 1,300, 1,500. And it seems to go up to about just shy of 3,000, depending on what's happening in the book. And
Yeah,
so to sit down and do a 1,500 word
it's like
chapter,
writing a chapter.
it's super comfortable for me. So that's fine. The nice thing about 1,500 words for a short story is it's very contained, it is tidy. When you're editing it, even if you have it like visually in front of you into 3 pages, it's easy to see the shape of it. When you're
Yeah.
holding 150,000 words in your head of
I
story,
never thought of it like that. And
yeah,
I'm such a visual person. That would be amazing to
yeah,
to see it laid out.
yeah. So one of the developmental studies I did on my first draft was exactly that. I took the bullet points of every chapter of the book and kind of put it into 3 pages so that I could see and lay it down and visually look at the chapters and see what was connecting, what wasn't working, what were the beats we could lose, and laying it out and looking at it like that helped me tremendously because then you've got your 150 words essentially broken down onto 3 pages, and that was super helpful for, and this was before it had gone to an editor or anything like that, just sitting with it and looking at the shape of it. And at that juncture I actually dropped 3 chapters, I think,
Mm.
um, and condensed a few characters that some were just superfluous and could be the same person for sake of continuity and things like that. So that was super helpful for me because that's a lot of story to keep in your head at one time.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. I have never been one to print out my manuscripts or my stories and by hand go through. Um I get so frustrated. Like I think I just see it and I think, oh, that's so much to go through. Where if you're on a Word doc, it's just the one page in front of me. I'm not overwhelmed.
Yeah. No, this was just bullet points. I just pulled bullet points out of the chapters, and that's how I laid it out. It was just like this
Okay.
chapter is about this chapter is about this. And I think I put like maybe one or two of the emotional beats that kind of was the emotional thread. And that way you're not like, because you're right, printing up 150,000 words, that's like a ream of paper essentially. Not only like not easy to carry around, but also it wasn't the best way for me to edit my story,
Mm-mm,
I discovered. So,
mm-mm.
but yes, just bullet points, bullet pointing the chapters, that was super helpful. And then I was like, oh, okay, so my arc is there. I seeing the arc and it flows, and yeah, that was much easier.
That makes sense. That
Yeah.
makes sense because you can keep it to like basically 1 or 2 pages.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting and a new perspective. I'm so bad at my words on how to um, fine tune and do self edits.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm glad I think in upon reflection, I probably did too much self-editing. I mean, too many passes of self-editing. Um, some of them looking back at just they weren't helpful. Well, I wouldn't do it again. But some of them, like that one, were super helpful, and I would 100% do that
But
again for
that's
my.
how you learn, you know,
Yeah,
and going into the next book. I mean, by the time you hit book 4 and 5, you will probably have like a semi routine set for you to bang out
yeah,
words and stories.
yeah. So that long process of editing and passes was good in the sense that I know now what which ones work best for me. Um, I probably learned something with every single one of them. So I don't regret it. I just, yeah, I would be, I think I'd be less, I say this so optimistically, less perfectionistic in the next book.
Ooh, a new P word.
That's a good P word though. Like
That's
everybody,
a good P.
that's a safe P word, I think. But yes, I think I'd probably take a much more relaxed approach to the parts I contributed in terms of the
Mhm.
edit. Um,
Three
just because
chapters is a good chunk.
3 chapters.
Is that what you said you cut? 3 chapters?
Oh, from the first one, yes. Yeah, I
Yeah,
cut three. So
that's a
then
good
what would
chunk.
that have been about? Yeah, like probably around 7,500 words.
That's a lot.
I put them back in. Don't worry, they were just in a different place. I put the words back in. Not the chapters, but I put the words back in, I'm sure. Um, but they weren't helping. They were interesting, they were fine, but they didn't move the story. So I just held them
And
back.
that's important. We don't want readers, drifting. We don't want readers drifting over paragraphs. I find that I do that. Like if a paragraph is too big or if the story drifts, I just start skimming paragraphs.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting too. Um, Remember we talked about Little House on the Prairie being like vignettes that were kind of put together.
Mhm.
They were originally like columns in a newspaper, and then someone suggested getting them published, and they became this story of sort of vignettes of life that were put together. Um, I watched Little Women the other night with my kids, and that's another one where it's like vignettes. That's essentially what the whole story is. In that, though, you're counting on the characters being interesting enough that the audience, whether it's the film audience or a reader, is invested.
Mhm.
And once you're
Yeah.
in that world, I think Diana Gabaldon's one of the ones that does it with Outlander too, where if you were to go in now, I think with a modern, just with a present day editing brain, you could probably cut swaths out of her books. But you've got the investment. Number one, she first published, I think, in the 90s, right? So a different style of writing
Yeah.
was expected then. Um, all that to say, people are already have already bought into those characters. And so she gets a little bit more leeway when it comes to writing them. She can throw in some of that stuff that might
Yeah.
now be deleted. So I think first book, especially for me, was like, no, we got to keep We got to keep it moving. I'd love for people to have that kind of investment in the characters and want to see what happens to them and how they interact. But
Yeah. That's
personally,
like Pride and Prejudice. I mean,
sure.
we really get to know the characters, and some of the stories we don't necessarily need to move the story forward, but they help heighten the the character that we're connecting to, or their associates, you know.
Yeah, the
But they
stakes and
don't, yeah,
the
they don't really do that too much anymore. It's just our attention spans are so fat, like 15
yeah,
seconds.
yeah. So it's tricky then going into a historical fiction setting because then you lose the, how do I
You're
put this?
trying to write in that same style, but
Yes.
you're a you're the modern day reader.
Yes. So one of
Yeah.
the things that I love about historical, especially like family saga historical fiction, is the rambly nature of families. Like not just in terms of like the action, but also in terms of like the relationships ramble as well, if that makes sense. There's like emotion to them, and that's hard to do and create, um, especially if you are dealing with a 15-second attention span. Yeah.
Yes. But I don't necessarily feel like those readers are I feel like the readers who enjoy historical have longer attention spans. That's why
Maybe.
they enjoy it.
Yeah.
So, so your audience wouldn't be the modern day teens or the modern day
Probably not.
who have the shorter attention spans.
I mean, yeah. You're probably right. And it's interesting because it was one of those ones for me where it was a matter of writing something that I would love to read. Um,
Hmm.
and there are still
See?
authors out there that write like that. So it's just going to be a matter of finding the right people, the right readers for the book, essentially. Which is part of the reason why I liked jumping into something a little bit more speculative, near future set when I wrote that one because the reader expectations are different. So.
Yeah. Always thinking about the reader expectations. It's
Yeah.
always on my brain now.
And I don't just mean like reader out there. I mean like reader in here too. Like when I read those books, what am I looking to get out of that experience when I read speculative fiction or uh,
Which
when I
helps
read
steer your writing style.
yes. And
Yeah.
that's where to do a quick callback, the saturation of film and television as we were like sort of 80s, 90s kids, I think helps a ton when it comes to some of those expected scenes and expected tropes and things like that because TV was heavy with some of those things. And it's
Yeah.
where you could get um, a 30-minute show and you see this incredible arc being built from the very first line. Or some, I don't know if your television in the States was like this, but occasionally they'd have these like 3-minute shows or 5-minute shows where it was like a transition essentially between probably kids TV into teen TV or something like that. But we'd get these like little
No.
TV shows that were maybe 3 minutes, 5 minutes, maybe a 15-minute occasionally. But see, that's like jumping back into short stories. Like you go back and
Yeah.
see how they're able to create an arc in 15 minutes, in 10 minutes. Like it's fascinating how efficiently the storytelling is shaped in those small windows. So,
Yeah. Even with like regular half-hour shows to incorporate commercial time. I
yeah,
mean, I like the term efficient that you
yeah,
said because
yeah.
that's what they had to do. They basically had to tell a short story in an episode and then either have closure or have transition to the next episode.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
if you can get over a season character arcs in that as well, like really good character arcs, that's some incredible storytelling right there.
Yeah.
Most shows did not have character arcs, or if they did, it was like one episode. of a
Yeah,
character.
I think that comes to mind. The earliest one I can think of is Buffy, but I don't think Buffy was a 90s show. I think it was more of a 2000. Was it? Maybe it was late 90s.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe late
Hmm.
90s from what I
I
remember.
mean, even Beverly Hills 90210, it I wouldn't say there were a lot of character arcs. It was just more throw as much drama at these kids.
Yeah.
But with Buffy, there was definitely a character arc, you know,
Hmm.
for her and for a lot of the characters. The supporting characters, they had a
Yeah.
lot of character arcs too, which was great.
Well, I suppose there's probably a difference there too between like a character arc and a lesson learned because they did a lot of lessons learned, but ultimately some characters never changed.
Lessons learned, I think of Full House.
Yes, and home improvement and
Yes.
yeah, where the characters themselves didn't really change over a season or over a series, but there was definitely like these minute little
Lessons, yeah. So
yeah.
for I have pet peeves with short stories. Jumping back to our short story. Short story. Sorry, my dog. I don't know if you can hear them or not.
No, you're fine. I thought
Um,
you were choking. I was a little bit worried I might have to do like a
oh
CPR.
no, no, no. It's my dog. The mailman dropped something off. But with short stories, stop it. Um, I think short stories should have the full opening, middle, and ending,
Mhm.
where some people are okay with short stories being a scene. And that's different. Like if you're writing a bonus scene or a deleted scene for a chat, like a bonus content or magnet reader or whatever, that's fine. But when I think of short story, I think of a story, a full story. And so when I write short stories, I have it in my mind that I need to make sure I'm having some kind of full story
Mhm.
in a set amount of words. And this is totally arguable. People will say a short story is a short story, regardless of if it's a scene or if it's a story. But for me, I've always been like, in my mind, a short story is a short story. It has to have, you know, the arc for the story, the plot, and the characters.
Mhm.
Um, but I've always been a little annoyed whenever I like you're submitting to an anthology or something, and it's like it's a scene. It's
Yeah.
just a scene.
I mean, look, there are plays written like that where it's like one like a one act play or you've got like one scene and everything kind of unfolds in a room over the course of a few hours. There's definitely styles like that of storytelling that exist. Short stories are interesting, like as a genre on their own, because you're right. There's a lot of interpretations as to what that might be.
Yeah.
I was I've been a judge for short story categories in competitions.
Oh.
That's always interesting because the rubric that we're supposed to grade to with the books we read changes depending on what kind of event it is. And so some critiques are based off of collections of short stories being cohesive.
Mhm.
And I've seen it too, where the rubric is more about um, the strengths of individual stories reflective of the writer overall. So it's less about the collection and it's more about the body of work reflecting the author. And so even in that context, different books are going to do well in different ways. And the one year that I remember we had some issues with the judging because of the rubric catching people, where it was specifically one of the biggest points grades awarded was about cohesion and
Mhm.
how do these short stories fit together as a whole collection of writing. stand alone on its own as a book. How do these short stories work together? And there were just some collections that were more cohesive than others. Some of them were set sort of around the same event, which I love. That's one of my favorite types of storytelling, is where there's a single event and you're seeing the reaction of people around it. I have a project like that that I'm working on right now. And then another one was sort of collections of stories that revolved around a town. So the town itself had its own personality
Yeah.
almost.
Hmm.
And then there was one that was like it had thematic cohesion in terms of the types of stories were their own worlds, but the themes of the book were really tied very, very well together. And it was tricky because there were some very good writers in that category, but they didn't meet the cohesion element for the rubric we were using for judging. And so there were people who got really upset that these really good writers didn't get into they didn't place out of the shortlist. And it's like, that's a tricky thing because you've got subjective judges, obviously, but you also have a rubric that somebody's come up with that isn't a standard rubric for short stories. Everybody has their own idea about what collections look like, what
Yeah.
stories look like,
Yeah.
uh, and what they serve in storytelling at large. So yeah, it is interesting. And short stories generally don't get published much in terms of like you
No.
don't often find collections of short stories.
Yeah. As you were saying, I'm sitting here thinking I'm such a hypocrite because in my omnibus, I say I have two bonus short stories where one is actually a scene. It's like
Okay.
a deleted, or not a deleted scene, it's a bonus scene, but I call it a short story. And the other one is an actual short story. But it's like, yeah, I just wouldn't submit it to I wouldn't submit a scene unless the submission was like write a scene or write. I'm just the person where I want to know all what's going on,
Yeah.
you know. I want to get to know this world. I want to get to know these characters. I want to know as much as possible in 15,000 words.
Yeah. I saw a competition recently online for extracts from stories that were like us that were a scene. They specifically requested a scene,
Yeah.
but they wanted that scene to be indicative of the story as a whole. And I was like, wow, that's not easy to do without editing, just to lift a scene out of your book and have that be reflective of the book as a whole. Like that, I don't know, that might
Yeah.
depend a bit on genre. It might depend a little bit on your style of writing. Like that sounds like it would be really, really hard.
Yeah. I mean, as a reader, I don't know if I could jump into a story like that.
Yeah, as a reader, I don't know if I could either. And that's what I found so interesting was like this, like if I was just to pull a book off my shelf and return to a random page,
Exactly.
I don't know that a scene would be reflective of the entire book. Most books aren't shaped that way. It's
Well, and I
interesting.
think writers are trying to write their stories with stuff like that in mind
Yeah,
more and more. Like, I don't know if you remember, Sasha had said she now, when she writes her book, she writes with having quotes or TikTok quotes in mind when she's writing.
yeah,
And I think a lot of authors are doing that, where they're thinking about the marketing as they're writing rather
yeah,
than having to pull quotes afterwards.
yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting. Well, and sometimes the weight of why a quote is so important is context, which you lack in isolation. So it is a
Yeah.
very different way of thinking about meaning. Yeah, interesting. Okay. I don't know. I don't
So
know if I
we
could.
so we've talked about transitioning. What else have
Yes.
we talked about? I
Short
need to
story.
write all this down. Look, I even made notes of what to talk about with you today.
Really? Did we talk about any of them?
Um, no, that's why this is unscripted. This is just casual. This is whatever
Yeah.
uh comes to our mind, you know?
Yeah, that is very true. Um,
Yeah.
I did do what I said I was going to do last time. Time has no meaning anymore.
Seriously.
It's that time of year where there is no time, only events. Um,
What was that thing? Remind me.
I said I was going to go ish, plan-ish my new year-ish. Um, I pulled some of your resources and started playing with them a bit and changed some of them around. And that's not to say I didn't change your work. I changed some of my ideas around based on the worksheets that you had. Um, and I think I narrowed down release date. So that was good. Yeah,
That is progress.
it is another P word. Um,
Good one.
hmm. And then I'm doing the Becca Symes Write Better Faster Manuscript First Challenge,
When is that?
December.
Oh,
So basically the idea being whatever device you pick up first thing in the morning, like whether it's your phone or your iPad or laptop or whatever, the first place you visit is your manuscript. So that's been super helpful.
that is an interesting concept.
Yeah,
Um,
it is.
has it worked? Like, do
Yeah.
you
Well, the thing I like about it is it doesn't have to be words. Your connection with the manuscript doesn't have to be sitting in there and getting 500 words because I have to get up very early some days, and writing at that time of the day it doesn't always. It's just not. It's not practicable. So, um, but it
reading it?
being sorry,
Reading it will definitely
yes. So
motivate you.
opening it up, and I think, and this relates back to, and this is probably another conversation at some point, but um it's about returning to it. It's about, and that's been, I think, a strength that I do have in the sense that over time, I'm able to keep returning to a project, um, even with all the delays and everything that life throws at us. It's that returning habit that I think I've got down. So we talked last time about consistency being in the tank for me. I'm stubborn about it, and that returning habit essentially functions like a consistency strength for me. And so, being able to return to it. And I think that's the thing is it's just that you're present with it every morning as a first port of call. Um, so that's been helpful as well. And I failed the first day. I'll straight up admit that, but that was also the day that I was able to come back around and like schedule, like nail down a date. So in the sense that like it's a priority every day, there's small wins there, I think.
Yeah. Well, especially when we're limited per day, how many, like our time. And if you have to choose whether to write or whether to focus on marketing or planning, I mean,
Yeah.
whichever one is your priority, you have to pick and choose, even though we want to get a certain number of words out per month.
Mhm.
Um, things come. There's challenges, there's hiccups, there's family, there's life.
Which is why even if it looks like just something to do with marketing or something to do with, yeah, reading or a connection point with your project, I think that's the thing. And I was inspired by one of the other people doing this challenge who posted on my threads, but I even did a little screen, what do you call this? A lock screen wallpaper.
Oh,
This art is is by an artist I really love on Instagram. But I wrote on there, it says manuscript first, darling.
Reminder.
I'm trying to be kind to myself. Manuscript first, darling. Um, yes, so that has helped too, because it means every time I'm picking up my phone right now, it's that reminder to keep connected to the project.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I think having that reminder will steer you to opening it up. And even if you save it on your homepage, like a quick link or something where you can just quickly open it up and just read. Because for me, jumping back in and getting in the zone, I have to reread whatever I last wrote.
Yeah.
So uh, but then I fall into the self-editing zone, and I get lost in an hour of that.
Mm.
So I try not to, but I have to reread. That's the only way I can get back into the story zone,
That's another thing
especially.
I would love to get your perspective on because I finished my gift to myself this year was to listen to every single one of the Quickcast podcast episodes. And I finished that this last week. So I've
Yeah.
listened to every single one. Um, and there were two takeaways from that were fascinating to me. And one of them was about this sense of inertia, of momentum. And I
Mhm.
think I've grossly underestimated how powerful that is for me. And so that's given me a lot of points of self-reflection. And it sounds like for you, going back and reading creates some of that inertia for you, like
Oh yeah, definitely.
that momentum.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, especially because I'm working on multiple stories at once. I have to reread the last chapter I wrote. I have to have my storyboard. I use Plotter, so
Mhm.
I have to have my storyboard with my characters looking at me. I need to open all of that to get into the zone for that story. So it used to be hard to jump back in,
Mm.
but now I've trained my brain to be like, this is what we're doing. Get into work mode.
Yeah.
So as long as I have a quiet house, I'm good.
It's the wrong time of year for a quiet house, isn't it? Yeah. That's
No,
tricky.
no,
Um,
no. Which brings me to another point on
yes,
my
go ahead.
little
Yes.
uh I'd like to say an opinion that November is a horrible month for writing first drafts. I know nano isn't really a thing anymore, but a lot of people are still doing a writing challenge in November.
Yeah.
And I personally think November is the worst month to do writing challenges.
Yeah. Second being probably December.
Yes.
Um,
October is great. I know October is Preptober, but I really feel like October is a fantastic month. Everybody is, I mean, first of all, everybody gets excited about autumn. And
that's
so
true.
everybody's excited about books and reading. And but that in general is very motivating to get your story done.
Mhm.
So writing during October and there's 31 days, one more day.
Yeah.
Um, and then November is great for like self edits or going back and fixing things. But for
Yeah.
me, November has always been like I've stopped halfway through every year I've ever tried because the back half is just so crazy with families home, holidays, shopping.
Yes.
It's just crazy.
I would agree with that. November, especially for there's a lot of we had a lot of school related things happening in November.
Yes.
I think it's because it's also depending on what school district you're in, you're dealing with full breaks and other things like that too. But I would agree the second half of November is especially challenging. I
Yeah.
I I've never had good success with those type of things where you have to write every day. It's just not the way my brain works. And again, this tracks back to the two takeaways I have from listening to the quick cast this year. Um,
But you also work full time.
I do.
So,
Yeah, I work full time and my schedule's kind of crazy. Um,
so that
and
makes sense.
and the kiddos and everything, yeah, all the rest of it.
Yeah.
So, um,
We
yeah, it's
both
busy.
have three
It's
plus
busy.
kids.
Yes, we do. Yeah, so there's a lot going on, a lot of movement schedules and a lot of movement of people and that type of thing. And
Yeah.
so in terms of like the pressure for production, November is just a terrible month for that for
It
me.
is
Um,
100 million% terrible.
and I think like the summertime presents unique challenges. We've talked about that before, where the summer having people home and out of school, and sometimes there's summer jobs involved and other things like that. Like it has its own beats, but November and December are particularly heinous, I think.
Yeah,
And I think
no.
there's an increase in expectations, whether people in your life articulate them or not. There are some weird, I noticed this year, especially some weird like cultural expectations and systems expectations around November and December outside of the festivities, even where you're like, wait a second, oh yeah, I got to do this thing and this thing. And I was just like, I was very, very aware of systems this year and how it interfered with creative process, which is why I think the challenge for the manuscript first really appealed to me because it wasn't just about getting words, it was just about connection points. And I can handle a month of connection points. I can do that. Um,
Yeah, I like that. I don't know if
also,
I could do it, but I like it.
well, it's an experiment. It's a pure experiment for me just to see, like, number one, how attached am I to my phone first thing in the morning, right? That's just from my own personal observation. But also, the discipline of connection points. It's always been something that I think I've stood half a chance at. And so I figured I'd give it a whirl and I'll report back. I've been documenting every day in threads kind of how it's been going. So,
Good.
um, yeah, but Preptober never appealed to me either because I don't prep anything. I don't
Hmm.
books. So my stories, they just get done. Um, so
I have embraced Preptober only because um as much as I love outlining,
yeah.
any outlines I write, from what I've learned, any outlines I write, they change once I start writing. So I've come to do like a skeleton outline and then focus
Okay.
on character arcs, like not their appearances necessarily, but I try to find like a TV character that I want
Mm.
to mirror, and then I'll note their behaviors, their little quirks, their little, just, and then I'll say in my mind when I'm writing them, okay, don't forget this person is like this person from this TV show. So make sure they're behaving like that. So for Preptober, that's what that is more for me, is finding all of that research and world building,
Mm.
um, and then doing just a skeleton outline of like where I want the story to start, what I kind of want to have in the middle, and then how I know I want it to wrap up at the end. And then that's all I need. And then anything I'm writing, for some reason, my brain is like, oh, yeah, we talked about that in chapter one. We can bring it back here. We can add some foreshadowing here. And my brain can keep all of that in my head as I'm writing, and it comes up with like, oh yeah, let's add this. So I can't think about that kind of stuff on a micro level when I'm outlining. I have to be writing it, have to be writing the scene. So I've stopped
Mm.
doing huge elaborate outlines, um, just because things changed. And I was like, oh, but it's still good. Like I think doing that kind of stuff is good, just not all at once. Like your bullet points. I could see myself trying the bullet points, but on a chunk basis. So if
Yeah.
I if I've written some chapters, then for like, say, I'll prep the next three chapters, I can write out bullet points. That would be really good. I usually do one chapter and I'll be like, what do I want in the next chapter to happen?
So we kind of do the same thing. It just is in reverse. Like you do it first and I do it afterwards, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After I'm done with my manuscript, I pretty much just send it.
Do you really? Oh, it's so interesting. Yeah,
Well,
I
I send dirty drafts.
dirty drops. Um,
Not too dirty. I
no,
like polish my
I've seen
drafts.
your
I do a lot of
drops.
self-editing,
Yeah,
but I'm also an underwriter, so I think that's what I mean. Like
yeah.
they're dirty.
So did you? I've seen your drafts. They're very clean, I think. So you may be doing yourself a disservice there.
Well, that's from years of experience.
Is okay.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Um, so did you get words in November? I saw you doing some tallies
oh,
here
yeah.
and there.
I got up to 15 and some 15 and change thousand.
That's still good.
It's good, but it's not what I needed. I literally took a week off the week of Thanksgiving and I didn't go near my computer and I needed to.
Yeah,
But last week I wrote 8,000 words.
that's awesome. So what's that, like 2,300
Well, this
total?
is between three stories. So it's like
Okay.
I have a hard deadline for January 2nd for my Dust Slinger, my Western romantic fantasy, um, which I am at 10,400 words. And I'm aiming to get around 40 or 45 for that one by the end of the month, just because, like I said, I'm an underwriter. I like writing the bare minimum. Like it may not have a lot of um what's the white space syndrome? Like so it might be just really focused on the conversation, on the, and then I'll send that to my editor and then she'll make a lot of comments and then I'll fluff it. That's what I call fluff, like adding out, filling in the space. And that's why I get a proofreader because, as we said earlier in this chat, I am horrible at grammar. So if I am making changes, I need that second pair of eyes from an editor before publishing.
Sure.
And that process has worked for me, you know?
Well, it's an editing pass to the fluff. I mean, that just becomes an editing pass for you, right? Where you're doing hanging the decorations, shall we say.
Yeah.
Um,
But the rush with this story is um, I wanted something new at my table in March, early March, which
yeah,
means if you work backwards, I need at least 3 or 4 weeks to order the books,
right.
which means I need to get it to a proofreader 2 or 3 weeks before that, which means I need to get it. So it's literally January 2nd is when I get it to my line editor. And then I have to beg and maybe even bribe her some extra money to be like, can we rush this? Like, I know you normally need about 6 to 8 weeks, but can we do 4 to 6 weeks? Yeah.
So interesting. You're good at doing that. You're good at working backwards. I struggle going forward, so that's my challenge. Going forwards is hard enough. Um,
It probably won't happen. I'll probably end up doing arcs, arc requests at that early March event
good.
in Texas, where I'll say it's going to be published next week, but I just didn't have the time to bring physical copies. Or if I do, then I'll bring them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it
Yeah,
was it was
the hard
backwards
deadlines.
planning.
Yeah, you have that structure for the hard deadlines happening.
Yeah. I think I have three different planners over here, physical planners, where I plan out the publishing stuff, I plan out the marketing stuff and that stuff because I'm a visual
Well,
person.
yeah, I mean, it makes sense. All I did all I did was do I printed up like like 3 pages of a calendar. So January, February, March, and figured it, yeah, because originally I thought, oh, January is realistic. I don't think it's realistic, just given everything that's going on. But what I did first was I booked the time off to do, we can talk about this another time too, but I booked the time out to do some marketing stuff, some social media kind of posts and things like that. Because doing them when I get home from work and I'm tired doesn't help anybody. So
Yeah.
I'm going to take a couple of days off and just focus on that. But if everything's set up from that, if I don't hit the release date that I have in my head, it's no big deal because I can just launch that stuff whenever it's ready, like the cover reveal and all that kind of thing, the fun stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'm jealous of your hard deadlines. They sound useful.
My hard deadlines came with experience and time. Um, Once you get a year or two into publishing, like once you hit that publish button, it's going to be a completely different game for you. So
Yeah. You
that
say that.
happens with all authors shifting into um, now it's about more than just writing the story and getting the story published.
I trust you. My brain can't imagine what you're talking about, but I
I
trust you.
know, I know. I used to hear people tell me too, and I'd be like, "Oh, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine." I sound like Ross from Friends. Fine,
The voice
fine.
just keeps getting higher and squeakier. It's fine. Everything's fine. Yeah, that's relatable. Yeah, and I think too, just with, and again, this is just the shape of our lives, right? Where there's a sense of you we have to be so accommodating of those external things that come up. And so there's a part of me that's like, I love the idea of making plans. I love the idea of planning things out. There's the P words again. But I become so gun shy about that just because I know the nature of life is so unpredictable. The family life, work life, everything. So
And that's why indie stuff, you don't have to worry so much about if you don't make a deadline, like we have that flexibility.
sure. But I can also see where deadlines could be helpful just to my own.
Deadlines are helpful if you want to have a certain output.
Yeah.
If you have a certain goal or output or financial goal that you want to reach, um, then yes, self-imploded,
Ain't that the truth?
self-imposed
Yes. There's
deadlines
definitely
are good.
been some self-implosion from time to time.
Self-imploding.
Yep. It's the opposite of spontaneous combustion. Was
Yes.
that ever a thing for you in your childhood where you somehow got communicated to that people could just randomly walk around and then burst into flames?
Well, yes, because that's me.
Spontaneous human combustion?
Well, because I have malignant hypothermia
Okay.
where it's an allergic or a reaction, not allergic, but it's a reaction to anesthesia. So I had my tonsils out when I was little and they put me
Yeah.
under and my temperature rose so high, they had to like pour ice all over me. So I
Oh,
always thought I am one of those people, like those cases where they say like spontaneous combustion
yeah.
was either from like like a reaction, something triggered this reaction in our bodies. And I'm like, I'm one of those people who can probably just spontaneously combust.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So there's something that
Horrifying.
triggers, it's a muscle, like your muscles get hot and the temperature increases in your muscles. Yeah, it's fun.
Well, that fear that got locked away is now unlocked again. Thanks for that. Um,
But you don't have it. So you don't have to worry. You'll be fine.
sure. Let's be optimistic, shall we?
But no, I've always felt that those stories of people self like combusting were real after
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, there are conditions where your body can literally heat up to the point where you're just, I mean, I highly doubt it bursts into flames, but
It's not a huge stretch though between like feeling super hot and like
yes, yes. And your
flammable.
insides burning because,
Yeah.
okay, so tidbit about Kimberly.
Terrifying, terrifying. Not
But
you, just
yes,
the idea. Um, potato.
potato.
Um,
Sorry.
no. But hard deadlines. Yes, I think I am it's a weird it's a it's a weird almost like I'm lucky I get to be so flexible with the writing stuff. I think earlier this year I felt very impatient and now I just am like, you know what? That's just the nature of things.
Well, and granted, I think you were feeling that impatience, if I recall, um, because, you know, as authors and writers, we tend to compare ourselves to what people around us are publishing and what people, you know, so it's like, oh, you know, they're putting out so much. I want to put out what I have. So I feel like maybe you were like, I have it. It's done. I should just do it.
Yeah, there's part of that. Part of it too is just I have a strong like internal competition, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
way that I don't really care what other people are doing. But
The opposite.
if I, well, kind of, it's like if I set an expectation for myself, which may be measured against other people's metrics, I don't know. It could well be. But there was this, I had my own perception of how long something should take. And a lot of people can get things done faster than I can. That's just the fact of the matter. And so you add the restrictive nature of how things have been just, you know, with things coming up over the past sort of 18 months and things like that, where you just don't have the same bandwidth or
Yeah.
space in your life for what you want to be spending it on. And then you combine that with your own metric of like, I need to have done this by now. I need to have achieved this by now. Or if, you know, I had set it in my head, I had to get it out in 2024. And that kind of didn't happen. So there's these sort of weird checks
Outside.
and balances that I have in my own head. Yeah,
Yeah.
where I'm just never quite measuring up. So,
Yeah. So
um,
maybe it's not comparing to other people, but yeah,
right,
comparing to where you want it to be.
correct.
Yeah.
Yes. So all that being said, um, I did kind of hit a point this year of just like, you know what? I have the luxury of being able to take my time. I don't have hard deadlines. It's going to be okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although,
And that's what I'm saying. Like right now you do, but once you
yeah,
hit that publish, it's like you still have the flexibility, but at the same time, you're going to have readers being like,
where's the next?
when's book two?
Yeah, that's a thing. And the other thing I noticed too about me that I saw you playing with too was there's something about getting your cover done.
Oh, yeah. Very
When
motivating.
when you see the cover for the first time and you're like, "Oh my gosh, this is a real thing." And then printing up author copies that I gave to my family,
I was going
that
to
was
say, and then holding the printed
holding it.
copy.
That's when I
Yes.
say she's girthy, like it's a book. Like it's a like you could throw it across the room and potentially hurt a hamster, you know? Like it's a big, I mean, no, please don't hurt your
Yeah.
hamster. But you could like hurt somebody with this thing. It's a book. So I think having the cover done was also incredibly wonderful and frustrating at the same time. Because then you have an idea of it. It's in your head. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
It's not just
But I think you've also, and in general, the level of awareness of what happens after, you have more of that right now than I had right before I published my debut novel. I was so unaware of
Mm.
what to expect. So you have taken the time to really absorb as much as you can about what to expect. Whereas me or a lot of maybe other writers were just like, we upload it, we publish it, and then we go from there. Like whatever happens, happens. And I wish I hadn't. I wish I had taken more time to learn more about the planning, like
Mhm.
working backwards, knowing what do I want to put out in a year and how am I going to do that, writing and marketing. Because I published in 2021 and then basically I didn't publish again until 2023 because I took 2022 to write
Huh.
and market, and doing both of those just took up so much of my time.
So there was 2 years between your first and second releases.
Yes, but so in 2023 I released book 2 of the duology, my first series, over the summer, which I will never do another summer release. And then I also released book 1 of the new trilogy series in November. So I had written those 2 books in 2022.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then 2023, I did so much marketing, I burnt out and I was like, never again. So that's
Mm.
why now I just do marketing on Fridays. Fridays are
Right.
my marketing day. If it doesn't get scheduled or created or whatever, I don't lose sleep over it anymore. I'm just like, it
Yeah,
is what it is, you know? So,
for sure. Mm.
but yeah,
Yeah.
it's you have more of an awareness of what's going to come after you hit that publish button. You have more awareness of the readers, reaching readers, connecting with readers, and then also working on your other writing projects and balancing your outside author life with your author life.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't grasp that that is all going to change once you hit the publish button.
I mean, I try some of it is hard for me to comprehend. But again, like I've said before, learning's in the doing. So I have ideas. Yes, we'll see how that actually, we'll see how it pans out next year.
That's how we learn.
But yes, the learning is in the doing. And so we'll see how much of that awareness and knowledge actually plays into things next year. Um, yeah,
Because
it'll be interesting
then
to
you're
wait.
also going to have to incorporate in-person events, going to some
We
in-person
will
events.
see, maybe. We'll see.
I mean, you don't have to go far. You can just do some local pop-up bazaars, or I mean, I did a lot of uh, craft shows or whatever they call them now, the
Yeah,
pop-ups. And I did well. And it's like getting your name out locally is a fantastic place to start before branching out to a wider audience for in-person events.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. We'll see.
2026 goals.
2026 goals. And I think too, it is a massive priority for me to have the second book out. I don't want it can't take as long as the first one did. It just can't. Um, but my goal
It
is to
won't.
have that. Ulysses to God's ears. I cannot handle another sequence of years like that. But it's almost like I'm 60,000 words into the second one, and it's not going to be as long as the first. Again, learn my lesson with that one. We'll see.
That's Yeah, no, as you put out more stories, you learn more about your writing style, you learn more about your energy and what you can put in each week. And
For sure.
yeah, you'll grow. You'll figure it out. We all do. We
Yeah.
have days where we're curled up crying.
Well, yeah, and then you run into like I was talking with you about, like we run into these like weird like tech glitches and things like that where I'm like, I'm supposed to be drafting right now. Why am I having issues with my KDP dashboard? Like this is ridiculous. And Googling doesn't help. And then you're like, okay, so you reach out to people and then sometimes other people look at your issue and you're like, yeah, you're screwed. You're absolutely screwed. Sorry. Like you have to start all over again. And other people are like, it's normal. It's fine. Everything's grand. So little things like that where you're just like, I am not a tech person.
Or like when I was saying, like it's like almost like pregnancy brain. It's like
Mm,
we've done it, but we just don't remember.
right. We're like, I guess I did this when I hit publish. And yeah, just things like that where you're like, why can't I just curl up in a ball and just with my little laptop on my knees and I'll just like write my stories in the
I
corner?
find it so funny though, because I'm like, oh, I should really should pay attention more to what I'm doing when I'm publishing something. It's half the
Isn't it
time. It's like,
isn't it
I,
good though that like you don't remember?
yeah, well, then I wouldn't have had that major
That's
blunder for book two and forgot to upload the files and they canceled my pre-order and I was like in tears.
yeah, that was not a good day, was it?
No, it was a hard lesson learned that I will never make that mistake again.
Yeah,
So, silver lining,
yeah.
picking the optimism route of,
There you go.
yeah, I effed
And look
up.
at you, you're already moving on. You got second book came out, third book came out, and you got more coming. So
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah. Lots of books coming.
I love that. I maybe have
Uh, you what?
I maybe have one. One is coming. I can confidently say one is coming.
One is coming is fantastic. So, I mean, get your feelers in, you know.
Yes.
Don't
Yes.
don't rush it. I always tell people that like don't rush it if you don't have to because the rushing will come later.
Yes. Well, and it's interesting too, like when you're feeling impatient and you're feeling kind of like tied up with things, you don't want to go slow. The idea of going slow and that activation, like finishing energy things happening, the idea of going slow is exquisitely painful. And so I think that's why it was such a big deal for me to be like, you know what, I have the luxury of doing this slowly. So I just kind of lent into it this year. So
Yeah. That was the other thing on my little list here. It
what's
was
that?
we are passionate about writing and that's why we
Mm,
put so much on our plates.
yeah.
Is because we enjoy doing this so much that we're open to doing multiple projects, story projects. You know, you've got
Yeah.
your main series that you're working on, but you're also writing and dabbling with your other contemporary series,
Yeah.
and you've got other stories brewing. And that's
Mhm.
just, we enjoy piling these projects on until we're like, WTF did we do to ourselves?
On that note,
Yes, we are
um,
at 139.
oh my gosh. See, the idea of trying to fit this into 40 minutes, it's excruciatingly painful.
We
But
did
on that,
try.
we did try, and it was a valiant effort. But I think WTF have we done to ourselves is probably one of the best last lines that I can think
Yeah.
of.
And then we're going to chat more times. I don't know about this year, but definitely in 2026.
Um, well, you're not getting rid of me that easily. So
Oh,
chances are good 2026. I'm like a limpet on a rock. I just like it's like this is
oh
my
my
home
gosh.
now. I'm right here. The waves can come
Um,
crashing over me. Um,
yeah, so like we don't have a schedule, so we don't know when you'll get the
nope,
next one.
nope,
So,
just whenevs.
all right.
All right.
Well, that's pretty much it.